Welcome to our podcast today. Ask Aaron and Ask EJ. This is Coach EJ, the brand.
And this is Coach Aaron, the source. EJ, we've got a topic today. It's another one of those weird abstract things. You know how things kind of bounce around in my mind and don't always quite they make sense to me, but when I start talking about them, then they stop making sense. So this may be one of those things again.
Oh
So
gosh.
everyone bear with me. But we'll entitle this one, Does Your Athlete Need an Attitude Adjustment?
Oh yeah.
And normally, when you hear attitude adjustment, there's the negative connotation, but I'm not talking about the negative connotation.
Right.
I'm talking about taking an inventory of your athlete's attitude as it pertains to their approach to their sport. Okay. I'm a big believer in, and I can't remember the exact saying, but you you are what you practice.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So how you move and navigate in life is generally how you do most things.
Yes.
And so, in other words, if you're non-confrontational, if you're timid in most aspects of your overall life, then you're probably going to lean towards that when you get out in competitive atmosphere, right?
Right.
And so I was thinking about this because we always talk about, competitiveness and why kids aren't, competitive and things like that. And maybe we talk about the mechanics of different types of instruction, challenging them in training and games. But I think the deeper root of it is the maybe trying to promote some kind of attitudinal shift in how they are doing things and how they're approaching things. Now, I know there's the people out there be like, oh, people are too aggressive nowadays and things like that. But I think aggressiveness has its place, and controlled aggression and controlled,
Right.
emotion channeled in the right way, I think can be very productive, and I think is appropriate in some
Right.
instances.
Absolutely.
So, how do we make those modifications? And attitude can't even doesn't even have to be a competitive thing. Attitude can also be, for instance, I always talk about kids don't have enough precision nowadays. In other words, enough, they don't care enough to cross the T's and dot the I's. So if you have to tell your kid to put their clothes away every week and they have a lackadaisical attitude about putting their clothes away, well, what do you think that kid does when he comes to my gym? He
Right.
doesn't rack his weights. He doesn't put his equipment back. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I think there's a through line to how you perceive life or your place in it and how you're going to navigate in it, and also how you are going to perform on the field. Does that make sense, or am I kind of going all
No.
over the place?
No,
But I'm
no.
just trying to figure out a way. Hey, how do we get these kids into these different mindsets that they can tap into their talents? And this was just something I was thinking about. It's like, well, maybe we need to make some attitudinal shifts along with habitual shifts
Mhm.
to make that sort of thing happen. Anyway, that's like I said, that's where what was bouncing around in my head. What do you think?
It's interesting. I like it. The reason why I like it is because I start thinking about athletes in our company, how they are personality off the field, on the field, in the dugout, when things go bad, when things go good, how do they act? And you're right. I mean, you want your guys to be competitive and have that kind of like get after it in competition, but the personality doesn't match up. How do we get guys to do that? You know, how do they train? They come in and train, and yeah, he's not racking his weights, but all of a sudden you say, hey, to train here and to get better, start doing that. then all of a sudden you start to see changes in their lifestyle. And this comes back to something that comes full circle for me. For instance, like a couple kids in our program, the parents go, I can't believe he's doing this now.
Yeah.
You hold your athletes accountable, Aaron, like you're doing, rack your weights. So all of a sudden now they go home, they have clothes on the ground. Oh man, I got to, it's kind of like racking my weights. I got to go pick my clothes up and put them away and all that. I think you hold athletes accountable for their actions, and that can lead to this attitude adjustment. And I think what we do, Aaron, you and I do in our own way in our industries is that we hold our athletes accountable, and we're trying to get them to make that attitude adjustment, because when they do that, Aaron, they're better in competition.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the discipline takes over, and this is what I have to do. You said it earlier, dot the I's, cross the T's. If you get athletes to do that in training or practice, all we can hope for is that when they get in the game, they will do the same thing. Whereas a pitcher on the mound, he's thinking, okay, I practice this way. I'm going to let it go now. I trust what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go for it. Or a hitter in the on deck circle, I have my plan. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that I cross the T's and dot the I's, so I can be prepared to compete. And you know what? Succeed. And succeeding for me, Aaron, is that player is crossing the T's and dotting the I's and doing everything they can in their power
Right.
to be successful. He's
Right.
not taking shortcuts. She's not doing this. They're not taking shortcuts.
Yeah.
They're finding a way where they can be successful, but they're doing all the little things that allow them to be successful.
Right.
That's the attitude adjustment, like you said. Your athletes do need that, man.
Yeah.
You're right. You're 100% right. I totally get it. And athletes these days,
Right.
they
Yeah, I
need.
just don't see. I guess sometimes we're asking a bit much for athletes to almost be this Jekyll and Hyde. You know what I'm saying? It's like Dr. Jekyll here, but you have to be Mr. Hyde out on the field. But they can't make that's too big a leap. And I don't know again exactly how we do that, but maybe it's a day-to-day sort of thing and reminders and that sort of thing where we can get these athletes to change, their attitudes about how they're doing things in their life off the field, like you said, that will transfer onto the field. And so parents, I kind of want to challenge you to, look at your kid and say, hey, well, yeah, my kid, maybe is lacking in this, maybe it's lacking in that. But like we talk about in our podcast, home training, a lot of that stuff starts at home. We can build the body and the skill set,
Right.
but the mindset starts at home. And
Yeah.
so you have to ask yourself, what are the things that I'm doing and how am I responding to situations that may be enabling the wrong types of responses that we want? I mean, I always say, look, if you I don't know of any high level athlete, as nice a guy as they can be, they are, or gal, they are, that doesn't have a little asshole in them.
I, I agree with you.
And,
I
and
I I
you
agree
know,
with you.
and so yes, you're not an asshole all the time, but there's a switch that comes on. There's a line that once is crossed. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, I know what you're
and
saying.
and I don't see kids tapping into that. And maybe it's because, again, the environment they've grown up in is a lot different than ours, where they're not, they're not running into as many confrontational situations when they're younger and learning how to work them out. Maybe those situations, they're kept safe from those situations, or those situations are always mediated by adults. And those were the sorts of things we learned on the playground, in the
Right.
neighborhood. And
Neighborhood
sometimes they
people.
ended up with a scrap, and other times, it was just a lot of jawboning.
Yeah.
And but kids kind of worked it out amongst themselves. And I don't know if that's happening a lot. One, because maybe they don't have the opportunities to
Mhm.
get in those situations as much. And two, like I said, maybe their lives are a little bit more sanitized where you've got adults intervening
Yeah.
or telling them what their appropriate responses should be or something.
You
I don't
know,
know. It's
yeah.
it's it's just interesting. Again, I'm really trying to crack this code on getting higher level, higher thinking, higher functioning competitive athletes. And there's only so much I can do with the body. And I'm a real I'm a real proponent of the body follows the mind. I'm a big proponent of that.
Hmm.
And so everything starts to me with mindset.
It
And
has to.
and so the next frontier, I guess, is how do we
Mm.
tinker and mold and you know what I'm saying? Give the kids the skill set mindfully that helps them, you
Mm.
know, capitalize on the expertise that they can get outside of themselves, like technical and physical
Right.
training.
Right. I'm with you 100% on that one. I think you tapped on one thing. You said home training, and we protect our kids too much from confrontation, and there's no conflict resolution amongst their peers. The parents have to be involved. I'm going to call this person, I'm calling this person out. Let's get them involved. And the kids have no conflict resolution until they go, hey, what's your deal?
Yeah.
They like, for instance, we don't have kids saying, what's your problem, man? Why you act that way?
Right.
It's like, I love it when our players get in a little scrap. Like
Yeah.
one says, hey, man, be quiet, shut up. And the other
Yeah.
guy goes, oh, why? You run your mouth too much. And then the parent would say, hey, stop it, knock it off. I'm like, let it go. Let's see if our players can resolve it and then come back together because I think there's growth in that for each individual and as a group as their peers watch it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think that's lost in the shuffle. You're right. It's lost in the shuffle. We like to intervene, say no, no, you can't do that. So we're trying to prepare people to go out there in life and do stuff. And now they can't do that in life. How do we expect them to do it on the field or in
Right.
the arena when they can't resolve that? What if that happens in the dugout in the middle of the game and the one player goes in the shell?
Yeah.
And
I was about to say, I see so much, I just see so much shutdown in athletes instead of, oh, yeah, really?
yeah, I
I
know
don't
what
see
you're
the
saying.
heat turn up and be like, oh, really? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Like,
where's that attitude that says, hey, no, not on my watch or not with it? That's what I'm
yeah.
talking about. That's
Uh,
what I'm talking about.
well, okay. So this leads me to think about a player gets out at
Right.
the end of the at bat, comes back, they're shaking their head. What's wrong? What happened to the player that comes to the dugout? Oh, really? That's and throws the helmet down
Yeah.
or gets upset, and then they just go do their thing for a second, and then they come back to you.
Right.
What
Right.
happened to that guy? Like, we had a guy in our club named Dan Straffus, and he would come in and man, I just wouldn't. After he made out, I just never went by him. I let him do his thing because I knew he would be locked in.
Yeah.
I let
Let
him
them
go
work
do
it
his
out.
thing, And then there's other guys who just be that guy's not getting me out anymore. I'm tired of that
Yeah.
guy. And I don't see that anymore. It's like they get out and it's like it's big like ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've been defeated. I see
Yeah. Yeah.
defeated. The the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
Yeah.
I see that, and you're right, Aaron. I
Well,
go,
it just seems like everyone wants to be in the middle, you know.
yeah.
Well, I didn't do as bad as that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like you got to dare to be great and be willing to suffer the consequences, but be like, okay, well, next time, you
Dare
know.
to be great. I love the use of that. Dare
I
to
don't
be
know.
great.
It's just like I said, I was just built a little different. I
Yeah.
couldn't hit a lick, but I was like this guy's not getting me out.
That's
I
what
would
I'm talking about.
fight as
Fight.
much as I could. And then once they finally got me out, I'd be mad and be like, he's not getting me out again. So
I'm gonna figure out a way to get on base.
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
Yeah.
where is that, you know, asshole in a person?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's, excuse my French people out there, but competitive athletes. I mean, we watched the World Series and we saw players who didn't have good games the day before, and then all of a sudden just go, I'm tired of that. I'm on the national scene. I'm not going out like this.
Right.
You know, I'm doing something today. And I think that's lost in sports today, all sports. We don't have enough athletes that are thinking that mindset. And maybe that's why the performance level at many levels is off.
Interesting.
Food for
No,
thought.
just thought it was an interesting topic. Nothing that we're gonna spend a lot of time on. But anyway, does your kid need an attitude adjustment?
Well, thanks for listening to us today. Ask Aaron and Ask EJ is Coach EJ the brand.
It's Coach Aaron the Source. We'll see you.